Welcome to Death Valley National Park, the hottest, driest, and lowest place in the United States, and one of the strangest. Come with us as we check out sand dunes, salt flats, volcano craters, Star Wars shooting locations, canyons, badlands, endangered wildlife, valleys, mountains, and even some extra stuff outside the park.
This is Magellan.
And this is Greyhound.
Where we make videos about epic road trips, kayaking, hiking, and other outdoor adventures. This video is a part of an epic road trip we took through Southern California, where we visited Malibu, Santa Monica, Death Valley National Park, and more.
Your first stop should be the visitor center, where you can check out the thermometer. While people typically visit from October to May, we visited in December. Many still come to experience the glory and majesty of a grizzly summer heat, and this number can just about double. Grab a map, check out the exhibits, and definitely talk to the rangers about road conditions and closures. While Death Valley only gets about 2 inches of rain a year, there's nothing more disappointing than getting halfway to Dantes View and finding out the road is flooded. Unfortunately, because there's no cell service in the park, you can't call the visitor center on your way there.
Created by the eroding northern mountains, the Mesquite Flat Salt Dunes are a great first stop in the park and are the most accessible of all the dunes locations. It's pretty fun going up and down them. They stretch for quite a while, and it's very easy to misjudge how far you've gone. The farther you go out, the less footprints you'll see, and the less people too. This one is pretty large. It was so much fun. It was also very tiring. Additionally, one of the first places that you see in Star Wars: A New Hope of Death Valley are these dunes. You might remember the shot with R2-D2 here on Tatooine. For those wondering about Greyhound's sprained foot, we went to a medical supply store in LA, and we're hoping to salvage the rest of our trip with this hands-free crutch called an iWalk.
I just cannot believe I can walk in this thing in the sand, guys. At 282 feet below sea level, Badwater Basin is the lowest point in North America. Even when you arrive in the parking lot, there's a sign that says sea level behind you to give you a perspective on how low you are. There's a short boardwalk, and then you can walk onto the salt flat itself. Make sure you wear footwear you don't mind potentially getting messy. The highest point in the park, Telescope Peak at 11,049 feet, is in front of you to the west. Badwater Basin was once home to the much larger Lake Manly, which evaporated almost 10,000 years ago. When the area does flood from rain, the salt pans are smoothed out into a salt flat. So Badwater Basin actually got its name from this pool because back in the day when it was surveyed, the surveyor tried to get his mule to drink this water, and the mule refused to drink it because it was bad water. Obviously filled with salt, larvae, all sorts of nasty stuff. So that's where the name came from. Badwater Basin is also where Mos Eisley from Star Wars was filmed. It's a little rough. Just a little bit.
While it rains little in Death Valley, our next destination, the Natural Bridge, was formed from thousands of years of flash floods. There's a restroom and plenty of parking, though, when you get to the trailhead.
So the trail is a little longer, but the actual Natural Bridge is only 0.3 miles away from the trailhead. So I'm going to see if I can do that.
There's no official trail, but just head up the wash and you can't get lost.
So on the way up, you also get a really awesome view of Badwater Basin.
Eventually, you'll get to the Natural Bridge. She made it! Go Greyhound! At this point, you can turn around if you want, which she did, or it can continue on. Right after the natural bridge, you'll come upon a dry waterfall. You'll eventually come upon an area you'll need to scramble. If you do, you'll have another one to scramble. After that, you'll go under a rock and continue through the wash. Eventually, you'll reach a spot where most people would say, "Yep, this is the end," and turn around. I ain't climbing that either.
The Artist Drive is a scenic 9-mile loop through the Black Mountains and White Salt Flats. It's the most popular drive in the park, and for a good reason. Here you'll see scenic vistas of the park's volcanic past. And there's a couple of pullouts you can stop and check out all the scenery.
The real treat, though, is the Artist Palette, which is about 5 miles into the drive. Here you'll see tinges of red, orange, yellow, pink, blue, and green. These colors are from the volcanic deposits, which are rich in chloride and iron oxides. This is yet another shooting location from Star Wars, where R2-D2 heads through the wash. After this, you'll wind through a bunch of canyons before returning to the main road.
This is such an eerie place, you guys.
The Devil's Golf Course, to the surprise of many, is not an actual golf course, but a giant salt pan consisting of miniature salt pinnacles that were eroded by wind and rain.
So this is like solid salt right here.
An old Park Service manual said the area got its name because, quote, "only the devil could play golf on such rough links," end quote. Unlike Badwater Basin, this location is not below sea level.
So this stuff is a little deceiving. There is actually a sign here warning people to be very careful walking over these things because you can actually break your bones on them.
Probably one of the most barren landscapes you'll see, even in this park.
Continuing with the health-themed names, the Devil's Cornfield, right near the Mesquite Fly Dunes, is a brief stop in Death Valley, but an interesting one. From a glance while driving, or when you pull off to explore the strange desert vegetation on foot, what you are looking at is not actually stalks of corn, but the arrowweed plant, which is bundling up as a survival mechanism for the arid landscape.
Our next stop, Zabriskie Point, is an iconic overlook in the park. The parking lot is pretty much busy all day, and you might have to wait for a spot. But when you do, it's just a short walk up a slightly inclined hill. The point was named after Christian Brevert Zabriskie of the Pacific Coast Borax Company, whose 20 mule teams were central to the mining operations in the area. Here you will get views of the Badlands near the Black Mountains and the White Salt Flats beyond. More trivia. This was also the cover of the Joshua Tree album by U2. And the philosopher Michel Foucault said Zabriskie was the best acid trip of his life. You might see people below hiking, and that's because this is a part of a great hiking loop. Which brings us to Death Valley's most popular hike, Golden Canyon, is a stunning out and back hike to the Red Cathedral. Starting at the trailhead north of the Artist Palette, this hike is roughly 3 miles round trip through golden colored hills and narrow canyons. While you can add the Gower Gulch and Badlands Loop Trail to make this a roughly 8-mile hike where you head to Zabriskie and the Manly Beacon, the hike to Red Cathedral is by far the most popular and accessible way to see this canyon. Plus, Greyhound could not do it, so I already felt bad about leaving her sitting in the vehicle. This is such an alien landscape. It's no wonder this is where Star Wars shot the Jawas on Tatooine. There's plenty of side trails and canyons to explore too. While it may be fairly obvious what the main trails are, make sure to have a map, because very little is marked. Eventually, you will see the Red Cathedral. Continue on and work your way through and around rock passages. Eventually, you reach an utterly fantastic viewpoint. The way back is great too for a different look. I had the sun the whole way.
Mule Team Canyon is located just east of Zabriskie Point. It's a 2.5-mile dirt road with great views. Unfortunately for us, the road was closed, but fortunately for us, we could park on the side of the road and explore the hills, which is sort of the point.
Magellan's all the way up there. I'm not going up there.
This place was really cool. We liked this place so much that we stopped by during the day and the evening. For those wondering again, this is the path to Jabba's palace and Return of the Jedi. Are you guys getting tired of the Star Wars references yet? The Harmony Borax Works is a really cool historical area of the park. This is where they harvested borax and then, on the 20 mule teams, transported it to a railroad in the Mojave Desert 165 miles away. It took around 10 days in the brutal heat. The Harmony Borax Works consisted of about 40 workers who would produce 3 tons of borax daily.
So this right here is the area where they refine the borax, and they had different vats that they used. They had to boil water, let the borax settle out of the water and all the other dissolved minerals and the salts.
One of the 2 remaining wagons in the park used to transport the borax is here.
For our next 2 stops, we're heading to Nevada. Yes, Nevada. Ash Meadows National Wildlife Refuge is a detached unit of Death Valley National Park and is not far from Death Valley Junction on the eastern side of the park. And there's a few cool things here, namely the Devil's Hole, a 500-foot deep hole whose bottom has never been found.
It's just a short walk to the first of the overlook areas. This is the site of the critically endangered Devil's Hole pupfish, one of the rarest species on Earth, with the population fluctuating between 37 to 400 fish. Pupfish are known for living in extreme conditions, and the Devil's Hole pupfish live in water that is 94 degrees Fahrenheit.
If you look down to your right, there's a tiny set of metal steps that lead down into the hole, and this is where the scuba divers go to check out the population of pupfish. There's also a pupfish cam down there that you can watch from the visitor center.
Another reason why we say this park is one of the strangest places we've been. A 7.4 magnitude earthquake in Mexico in 2019 actually caused a 2-foot tsunami in that hole. It was captured on video, and you could see it at the Furnace Creek Visitor Center. This is why you should always visit the Visitor Center. Beyond this first overlook, there's also another hole you can check out, but you'll see much less there.
The next spot is also in the Ash Meadows National Wildlife Refuge, and you'll be able to get a lot closer to the pupfish. It's about a half-mile round trip on the wheelchair-accessible boardwalk, which made me very happy.
Considering the area, the fact that the King's Pool exists is nothing short of amazing. This is where you can see the Amargosa pupfish, another extraordinarily rare endangered species. These live in even hotter temperatures, up to 114 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 10 degrees hotter than a standard hot tub. Just crazy. Our next stop is the junction of two Indian trails and is the only waterhole in Death Valley, the Old Stovepipe. To mark the hole, a length of stovepipe was placed. There's a plaque here you can read, as well as the well itself. Don't forget to take in the surroundings as well.
So I think we came here at exactly the perfect time. It is a little after 3 o'clock and the sun is just like making all of the water down here just glow. It is just beautiful.
Ubehebe is a 600-foot deep, half-mile across volcanic crater located in the more northern section of Death Valley National Park. It is definitely a trek to drive to, but it is so worth it. This place is otherworldly. Believed to have originated 2,100 years ago from steam and gas explosions when hot magma reached groundwater, Ubehebe is a sight to behold. You can do 3 things here: walk around the rim, down into the crater, or to the smaller Little Hebe crater nearby.
So I'm heading to Little Hebe. Magellan is on the go down into the crater duty.
So this was weird going down. It's pretty easy, obviously, but you're kind of sinking into the volcanic cinder as you're descending. And just felt something pop in my right leg. Not good.
I think that's him all the way at the bottom already.
Really hard to describe this, but the views are amazing. Problem now is, I have to go back up. My leg is shooting intense stabbing pain, like a burning fire. Well, that's sucked.
I made it! Here's the little crater right here. I would say this is worth the walk. So the trail continues here past the little crater and it goes up along the crater here. If I had my other leg, I would totally do this whole loop around the whole crater. But I think I'm gonna be pretty happy with what I did because that is a long way down. And I have a pirate leg, so we're gonna do that.
Our next suggestion in Death Valley seems kind of a given, but drive around. As the largest national park in the contiguous United States, Death Valley is a beautiful and diverse place to explore, even if only on the road.
Maybe you don't have much time to stop at every point of interest. Maybe you genuinely love cruising through beautiful scenery, or maybe you're dealing with injuries and driving sounds really nice right now.
While many of the great spots are concentrated in one part of the park, feel free to explore the others. It really is a fascinating drive through a strange geology, that's for sure. There's a few things right outside the park that you should check out if you have the chance. In Death Valley Junction, there is the Amargosa Opera House and Hotel, which was run by the late and former ballet dancer Marta Beckett. He used to perform, sometimes to no one but the spectators she painted on the walls. Originally, it was built as a social hall by the Pacific Coast Borax Company. We tried to get a tour, but someone told us only one person is running the whole place now, and we couldn't find them. Across the street is a standalone building that looks like the Prada building in Marfa, Texas. It's a display of Marta Beckett's dresses she used to wear while performing. The next place is up the road, the Long Street Inn and Casino. Not only can you fill up on gas, food, or even stay here, like we did, but they have an animal petting zoo.
I love donkeys. Yes.
And this.
This is for our friend Josh at California Through My Lens. Josh, we know you love these big statue things. This is called the Big Bovine of the Desert. Why it is in the middle of the desert, we cannot answer that, but here it is. Let us know what we missed.
Stay tuned for our next video where we made the difficult decision to completely skip the much less accessible and rugged Mojave National Preserve in favor of the Red Rock Canyon Drive in Las Vegas to heal our trip injuries. We'll see you on the trails or in the water.